Today we're making the all-elusive yet easily obtainable crispy roast potatoes. Fluffy on the inside and crunchy all around. I'll also show you how to level these up to bring you tears of joy. But first, let's look at the most important part: potatoes. Either starchy or a good all-rounder. Waxy spuds will result in tears of sorrow and potentially fatal domestic disputes. You want to use either Gala, King Edward, Maris Piper, Russet or Yukon Gold. Or at least take the bag that says for roasting or frying. Start by peeling the potatoes and removing any little imperfections. Cut them in half or for large spuds in quarters. You want to keep these chunky for a good reason we'll get into in a second. Once they are peeled and cut, get them into a large pot or pan. Rinse them a few times until the water runs clean. Cover with more water. Salt it generously and add a bay leaf if you please. Simmer your potatoes until fully cooked but not falling apart, which could take from 20 to 30 minutes depending on the size. Meanwhile, we chat some fat and oven tray. You want to get a nice large tray to avoid overcrowding. I personally like using duck fat, beef dripping or chicken fat if you want to keep it vegan. I also like adding a bit of olive oil to move these into the healthy foods category in my fitness app. You could of course use any oil apart from butter, which will burn and cause terrible consequences. Clarified butter or ghee is fine though. Add an extremely generous amount of your chosen fat to the roasting tray. Whack it in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius or 392 degrees Fahrenheit to get nice and hot. Time to check on the potatoes. Once cooked, very carefully pour away all the water and let them sit and steam dry for 5 minutes. Make sure there's no water left, as this will cause issues. Avoiding those problems are easier than dealing with them. Be gentle, as the potatoes will be very fragile and we want to keep them from breaking up too much. The next bit of magic happens in the oven, but before we get to that, we need to do one small thing. Rough up the edges by gently yet firmly giving the potatoes a shake or two in the pot. This will provide a nice fluffed up starchy layer around the potatoes, which will crisp up like never before. Carefully place the potatoes into the hot fat as if they were newborn babies going into a cot for the very first time. Spoon over some hot fat, making sure they are fully drenched. Into the oven they go, which brings us to a very important bit of info always left out. Every now and then you open the oven door to release the steam that built up. Steam and moisture is the enemy of crispy. Remember that for future cooking adventures. Making the best roast potatoes you've ever tasted is a true test of your patience. You turn them every 5 to 10 minutes, making sure they are cooking and crisping up evenly. Take your time and don't rush it. A little tip: potatoes are the last thing going into the oven when cooking over holidays or celebrations. Everything else should be done beforehand. They need their own tender loving care and oven space all to themselves. About halfway through the cooking, you optionally, but extremely necessary, add a few cloves of garlic, skin on, and a few sprigs of rosemary, thyme or sage. Your nose and mouth and everyone you care about will love you a long time. And when it's all looking good, like you know what, remove it from the oven, drain off any excess fat and pat it dry with a paper towel. Squeeze out the garlic, chop up some scallions and parsley if you wish to make it even more provocative. Season with a touch of flaky salt and pepper. Gently toss it up and go have an amazingly blessed, happy life.